Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, dear friends, I am honored to address you today for the first time as President of the General Assembly. It is with immense gratitude and a profound sense of responsibility that I take up this charge. I am committed to carrying out the functions of this esteemed office with transparency, accountability, and dedication in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations. As we launch this new session, I should like to thank my predecessor, President Chaba Karosi, for his steadfast and insightful leadership over the last year. It is my intention to build on his accomplishments and those of others before him. Let me express also my deep thanks to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, firstly for entrusting me with the privilege of representing the diverse and dynamic people of our country at the United Nations, and secondly, for reposing in me its confidence to acquit the office of President with dignity, independence, and fairness. My presidency will reflect the values of tolerance, inclusion, cooperation, and unwavering respect for human dignity that Trinidad and Tobago has profoundly upheld and defended over 61 years of membership in the United Nations. I also take this opportunity to acknowledge the contribution that Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed continues to make, especially in championing the development agenda, which constitutes unarguably the centerpiece of our work. Through her, I also applaud the Secretary General for his relentless leadership and advocacy to achieve a United Nations that is fit for purpose, as exemplified by his recent launch of the Our Common Agenda report. Excellencies, we begin the 78th session of the General Assembly amid a daunting global agenda, beset by a series of cascading challenges. I have set out 4 priorities, 4 watchwords, to ensure the 78th session meaningfully addresses these challenges: peace, prosperity, progress, and sustainability. Let me begin with the first, peace. The intertwined challenges of climate, conflict, and poverty continue to make peace more elusive. Sharp geopolitical divides have brought us to a dangerous new era of nuclear uncertainty. They have bred skepticism of our multilateral system, and they have forced many countries to navigate a narrow strategic space to drive change for their societies. This is especially true for small island developing states, middle-income nations, and countries in the global south, struggling to meet the unique needs amid the evolving risks. As the UN's chief policymaking body, the General Assembly bears a special responsibility to ensure that our efforts must be anchored in a robust multilateral system, faithful to the cherished values and principles enshrined in the Charter, our Charter, one that draws its strength and legitimacy from greater inclusion and meaningful opportunities for enhanced engagement to shape decisions. With open questions about whether the Security Council can fulfill its mandate, the General Assembly's veto initiative is a welcome innovation. It marks an important step towards greater transparency and accountability regarding the application of the veto, one that must be interpreted within the ambit of system-wide UN reform. Excellencies, This brings me to my second priority for the session: prosperity. We know that the world's poorest bear the steepest cost of violence, and that long-term investments are needed to leave no one behind. To this end, we must find tailored solutions to the specific challenges of countries in conflict and post-conflict situations. The General Assembly must lend its weight to enhancing financing, technology, debt sustainability, and capacity building in places where development is in deficit and where assistance is most needed. In this regard, I urge member states to follow through on the Addis Ababa Action Agenda and to take advantage of other key opportunities to scale up investments and expand financing for development. In doing so, we must also accelerate the transition to clean energy and boost support for adaptation by making climate finance more available, more accessible, and more affordable. In May, Antigua and Barbuda will host the 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States under the theme, Charting the Course Towards Resilient Prosperity, in an effort to agree a successor to the Samoa Pathway, much of which remains, even now, 8 years later, unimplemented. And in June, the 3rd United Nations Conference on the Landlocked Developing Countries will be held in Rwanda. Along with full implementation of the Doha Program of Action for the least developed countries, these events will help us ignite transformation across critical work streams. Throughout the 78th session, I have committed to prioritizing the needs of countries in special situations, in particular the least developed countries. I will continue to champion efforts to enable a representative and enabling international financial architecture. We can no longer tolerate unjust financial systems that keep countries trapped in vicious cycles of debt and deprivation. The Secretary General's ambitious and forward-looking proposals for reforming our systems, moving beyond GDP, and developing a global digital compact will require clear-eyed decisions by the General Assembly. Excellencies, this brings me to my third priority, progress. We have a full toolkit containing all the elements we need to bolster massive progress on our development goals. But we have yet to employ these tools to their fullest potential. The SDG Summit will be a critical opportunity to correct this and to breathe new life into the entire SDG process. How the summit unfolds will set the tone for the rest of the General Assembly agenda this session and for the 2030 agenda over the next 7 years. The importance of the summit becomes all the more pronounced when it is recalled that we have several equally momentous events happening in parallel. We will have the opportunity to come together on the 3 major health processes that have been ongoing: the fight against tuberculosis, pandemic prevention and preparedness and response, and universal health coverage. The COVID-19 pandemic has taught us that global solidarity and international cooperation remain imperative if collectively we are to build resilient health systems and improve the global health architecture. The high-level dialogue on financing for development, meanwhile,